So a few years ago, I was basically done with the major responsibilities of my family. And so I said to God, God, do with me as you see fit. It wasn't an epiphany moment. I just wanted to make sure that as I went on, that I was on the right path. And about the same time, it was this kind of year, it was cold and dark outside. I went on YouTube for the very first time in my life. And this is who I found. Dr. Tal bin Shahar. And he was teaching the largest and most popular course in Harvard history at the time. And the course was called The Science of Happiness. And he was talking about self-help backed by scientific research. And he was talking about a field of psychology called positive psychology. And this is what positive psychology, what he said it was. I'll go ahead and read it. It was a scientific study of positive human functioning and flourishing on multiple levels. Biological, personal, on all components of society. This was a new field of psychology that was wanting to help people and society thrive. And the gentlemen who put this together, they weren't graduate students. These were seasoned experimental researchers, learned helplessness. They were at the top of their career, and they decided to create a new psychology to help individuals, institutions, and societies flourish and thrive. Fast forward 1 year later, I'm in the Berkshire Mountains in an old monastery, enrolled in a year-long certification program in positive psychology, led by my YouTube professor, Dr. Tal bin Shahar. And so I find myself in an old chapel/lecture hall. I can still see where the Holy Family was, crucifix. And Dr. bin Shahar is beginning his lecture, and he says, we need more research in gratitude. And me over here, are you kidding me? Gratitude? What do we need to know about gratitude? Didn't make sense. Second day, we need more research on gratitude. We need more research. Positive emotions. First time they'd ever been studied. Now I'm here for a week in Massachusetts. I'm going to go home, and then I'm going to come back later. This is a long program. But in my first week there, by the 5th or 6th day, we're having a group discussion. And my YouTube professor is sitting there. And it's as if he was saying, you know what's going to happen, right? Karen Schaal, we need more research on gratitude. By the end of my week there, I had a meeting with Dr. bin Shahar. And I said, I'm going to incorporate gratitude into my PhD research. He looked at me and he went, great. 2 months later, I would be receiving my master's in educational psychology, but now I was a budding positive psychologist. And I realized that God had put me right in the middle of a group of leaders and experts in this field. Everything was changing. I was learning new terms: well-being, flourishing, permission to be human. theories about joy leading to happiness. And out of this positive psychology environment is where the gratitude research started. They were studying how to make individuals and societies thrive, and they were studying gratitude. And there was a lot being said about gratitude. Oprah got a hold of it. I had to get this magazine. Come on. How often do you study something that's on Oprah, right? They took the Science of Happiness. Time magazine made a special booklet about it. That was a course that Dr. Bin Shahar had been studying, been teaching. It was all over the place, and the reason was that gratitude was really easy to understand. It made sense. It was easy to understand. Attitude of gratitude. Grateful heart is a happy heart. Give thanks in everything, right? It was all over the place. We even had statistics. Let's see if I get this. That said if you keep a gratitude journal, you'll be happier than if you win the lottery. But behind all this media buzz, and really because of the media buzz, was the research. And that's what I was interested in. And so I left Massachusetts, and I spent the next few years studying all the major articles and publications that I could find on gratitude. For about 20 years worth of research. Positive psychology has been around for around 20 years. There was one study in the 1930s in Switzerland with gratitude in young children, but that was it. We're looking at really recent research. I've read studies from all over the world. People were still trying to understand how to correctly or appropriately define gratitude. But it didn't matter where the studies were conducted, and it didn't matter how you defined it. There was an overriding theme throughout all of the research. And that was that gratitude was a positive modifier. That it changed things in a positive way. And this is the halls in the universities and the researchers in the field globally all coming to the same conclusion. I'm beginning to think this is really a God thing. I'm saying yes, so I've got God happening here all the time because I went to Massachusetts. I'm devoting my life to gratitude, so I'm saying yes. But I always have to be reminded. This is a God thing here. One of my favorite quotes about this, gratitude being a positive modifier, changing things, comes from a couple of researchers out of a University of California where they describe gratitude having a myriad of possible positive outcomes. That's innumerable. That's countless. That's beyond measure. And these are university professors, researchers, scientists. It was a big deal. Really starting to look like a God thing. But I'm over here, remember? I'm still over here. I'm as grateful as anyone else. God darn it. And so let's look at some of the results that we're getting out of all this research. Some of you may be able to see this or not. We're getting lots of results. We're getting an increased resilience, generosity, positive moods, pro-social behavior. And one thing, let's just look at the spiritual life. There's a theory, and the theory that I'm using in my research, I'm studying if I have children with a gratitude journal in their home, and they do that for 3 weeks, are we going to see improved classroom behavior? So that's my research. But if we look at the spiritual life, and we have improved spiritual life because we're more grateful, then that's going to affect other things in our life as well. And that's what gratitude does. If we have an improved spiritual life, if you look on the left, we're going to have most likely improved positive moods. We're going to be more generous. We're definitely going to exhibit more pro-social behavior. And that's what positive emotions do. They lead to other positive emotions. I found out something really interesting about positive emotions, which helped me because sometimes I bellyache too much. Positive emotions don't last as much as negative ones do. They just don't. The shelf life on negative emotions is a lot longer. Yeah, so this is a lot of the benefits. And I'm just going to talk about I'm going to talk about a gratitude journal. Gratitude journal is the most popular thing that we use in research. We just have people write in a journal, and then we test their behavior and see what's happening. Now let's see what happens if someone's writing something simple. Here it is, like a gratitude journal. It doesn't have to be big. You don't have to write a lot. You can probably draw. My kids in the elementary school, if they don't want to write, they can draw, because it's the process of setting and thinking of something you're thankful for, that you're grateful for, that's the important thing. So we're writing journals now. We're going to have 16% fewer physical symptoms. What that means is all these little aches, little things, belly stuff, oh, my neck, all this kind of stuff. Not pain, but physical symptoms. 10% less physical pain. Is the gratitude journal looking any better yet? Wait till we get to the bottom. It's good. 19% more time spent exercising. I personally know that self-care increases when you practice gratitude. It just does. If I'm appreciating myself and the body that God gave me to house the Holy Spirit, things begin to change. I may make better choices about my diet, about exercising. 19% more time spent exercising. 8% more sleep. Now this is a good one, watch this. 25% increased sleep quality. So you get a little more sleep, but you also have a better quality sleep. And this, 30% lowered depressive symptoms. And this is just with a gratitude journal. This doesn't even record grace before meals, attending Mass, giving gifts, receiving gifts. Is everybody following me so far? Yeah? Okay. So I knew about all this. I really learned a lot. I've been doing this now for a few years, so I know a lot about the science of gratitude. But my next big question was, how do we put this into practice and get these results? I've said yes to God. I'm studying my gratitude. But the next big thing is, how do I put this into practice? Because if I can't do it, then how am I going to share it with anyone else, right? So I'm my little walking experiment here. But when I left Massachusetts after the first week, I wasn't familiar with all of this information. I just started. I wasn't familiar about all the benefits of gratitude. And I also didn't know that I was going to be leaving with the two most important pieces of information that I would ever need in my practice of gratitude. And I didn't know also that even after a year of study with one of the leading experts on happiness in the world, and after getting my certification in positive psychology, I would still come to the same conclusion, that these two pieces of information were the most important things I had learned. Any guesses on what they were? Let's see, here we go. Paying attention and incremental change. Now, my Miss Grateful as anyone else over here is over here saying, yeah, that's great, I can do that. I can pay attention. I'll get all my birthdays on the calendar, get my cards laid out. I'm paying attention. But that's not the kind of paying attention I'm talking about. It's not the paying attention that my YouTube professor, Dr. Ben Shahar, was talking about. He was talking about a type of checking in, a self-inventory, really finding out what's happening in our lives. I kind of liken it to having a car and checking your oil, getting your Wi-Fi, making sure it's hooked up. I probably spent more time on that than I definitely did wondering why I always got so irritated when somebody did something, right? I put more energy into those kind of things than really checking out myself. So I started to pay attention. I'm being pretty obedient at this time, but I'm paying attention. And what I discovered was that I wasn't always as pleasant as I could be. I had a really wonderful life, and that I just bellyached too much. So I made some adjustments. And I kept at it, and I began to observe my world, how I moved through it. I began to be much more aware of nature, the nuances of life. And because of gratitude, because gratitude was behind this whole journey, right? My yes, my choice to say yes, that I had to begin to pay attention with a sense of gratitude. I had to put gratitude into the mix. And when you begin to pay attention with a sense of gratitude, gratitude leads you to things for you to appreciate. It can't do anything else. You just have to be open to see, hear, to be aware of it. But I really began to be aware of stuff. I'm paying attention with a sense of gratitude. A really good example of this, I have a sizable number of grandchildren, and when they get together, it's like, woo, it's just great. I delight, like Sister Teresa's, I delight in them. But they're noisy, they're rambunctious, and then they're all over the place, and the parents coming, hey, you can, it's just noisy. And negativity is sometimes noisy, fighting, squabbling. So just recently, they were all together, and, besides a 4 and a 5-year-old coming up and saying, can you help us, negotiate a doll phone? I just sat back and watched. And I watched the older kids. They range from 10 down to little babies. My youngest granddaughter is somewhere here in the room. And I saw the older kids consoling the little ones, helping them out. I saw how they teased each other with playfulness and love. And it made me realize how many good things pass us by on a daily basis that we just don't see. So that's paying attention. I got paying attention. That was okay. But the second one, incremental change. Let's see, I forgot this one. With a sense of gratitude, yeah. I love gratitude. Incremental change. Incremental change was hard for me. I didn't like it. I didn't want to get on that pony and ride. I like things now. It was difficult for me. And it took me a while. Incremental change. This is incremental change. It's not very interesting. It's slow. You don't see it happening. The rewards you get are few and far between, and it's just slow, and I didn't like it. So, God working on me more and more. And then I got it. I got it when I was ready. I said, okay, I understand now. And there were two main points about incremental change. Let's see if I can do this. I needed to trust the process. Impatient me, I have to trust the process. Because most change is incremental, so why fight against it? Even though I start out at point A, I'm not seeing where point B is 100%. I just have to trust the process. Be still and know I am God, right? Trust the process. The second point I learned, you'd think I would know this, but I didn't, was have patience. Wow. I didn't know I was so impatient until I learned about incremental change. I also learned that patience leads to discipline. Wow, but that's another talk. Because now that I'm more grateful, I'm actually becoming more disciplined because I'm more patient. But that's another talk. So these were important. And then another point, so important, is to always remember that it's incremental. Be easy on yourself. The boulders that come down off the hill just don't come down off the hill. They're jostled, they're moved through time. So now I know a lot about gratitude, and I'm paying attention with a sense of gratitude. I'm trusting the process, and I'm being patient. And when I'm not being patient, I just remind myself, slow down, Sister Ballister. All change is slow. I was doing good, but I wasn't doing great. Something wasn't right yet. I found an article from 2010, and they talked about some higher order of gratitude. They talked about gratitude as a life orientation. They even had 8 different characteristics that you needed to do to get to this gratitude extraordinaire place. That's what it seemed like to me. And this is how they defined a life orientation, gratitude as a life orientation. A habitual focusing on and appreciating the positive aspects of life. Habitual. And this was it. This is seeing being thankful in everything, isn't it? Habitual practicing of gratitude. So me over here, I'm over here now. Because we can always be grateful. We may not be grateful for what's happening to us, but we can always have that sense of gratitude, that presence of gratitude in our hearts and how we look at the world. And when we do that, gratitude will always lead us, always, to something that we can appreciate. So thanks for listening, and God bless everybody.
I'm thankful for my legs, I'm thankful for my eyes, I'm thankful for my bed, I'm thankful for the sky, cause nothing is forever, that's why I'm writing this letter. See, gratitude's a high frequency and thus it'll make us feel better. I'm thankful for my health, I'm thankful for this day, I'm thankful I can smell, I'm thankful I can taste, I'm thankful for my family, I'm thankful for the wind. See, I don't take things for granted, I'm grateful for all things, cause